It's casual, not formal. It's hosted by Rory Pendlin. Oh, and Renee in tow. It's time to start the show. 1, 2, 3, go!
Hello, welcome to another episode of It's Casual. A very special episode today for two reasons. One, this guy is incredible. He's a rock and roll star. He's played with so many bands. We're going to try to talk about all of them, hopefully in the next hour. And it turns out, I'm reading his book. Let me show you his book. It's the Joey Huffman story. East of the Sun, Memoirs of an Accidental Rock Star. Let me tip that down so you can see. I'm reading this book, and all of a sudden I come across a chapter on a group called Hijinks, which was a rock and roll group that I knew in my hometown, Lake City. In 1982, 84, it turns out that this is Joey, the keyboard player from that band. He went off to Atlanta and just his career skyrocketed. He took off. Let's bring up Renee Worski.
Hey, I'm excited. This is Joey Huffman. He's done everything with everyone. Hank, and like, let me tell you how diverse he is. Okay. Obviously, Soul Asylum. Now he's with Hank Williams Jr., Driving and Crying, CeeLo Green. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah. And he looks like a rock star, but he's like really humble and a nice guy. That's what I've been hearing. He's like really down to earth. That's why his memoir has the subtitle Accidental Rock Star.
Very humble.
Very humble person. Very nice. Yeah. And a rock star you would actually trust with your kids. You would trust him in your house. It wouldn't come out looking all he's very trustworthy. I think he's a very trustworthy. He's a mensch. That's what I'm hearing. He's a mensch.
Before we bring him up, we do have a video from another rock and roll star. Do we know that?
Oh, yeah. This is quintessential rock and roll right here. Watch this, guys.
Hello, it's me, Benji Smalls from Heavy Metal Missile. I just want you all to know that you guys are bloody lucky to have Joey Huffman on your show. He is the rock and roll cat's meow, as we say. I mean, he is true rock and roll, man. I mean, he's a good keyboard player. He's an awesome keyboard player. He's an awesome musician. He can play guitar, flute, whatever the hell you throw at him, he can do it. But let me tell you something. That's not what rock and roll's about. This bloke knows how to freaking party, mate. We had some good times together, Joey. I'm looking forward to seeing you again, mate. I really am. And I still got your coat. So, yeah, come and see me sometime soon, mate. Love you, bro. Take care. Have a fun time on It's Casual. They're good people. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
He always has to end with that.
He has to end with that. And, I hope that Joey gets his coat back. That looks like a really sweet coat.
Leopard skin. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet it's made from the skin of an actual leopard that Benji wrestled. That's what I feel like.
No, that was Joey's coat. He said, that's
right. Sorry. That's right. Yeah. Oh my God.
All right. So let's bring him up without further delay. Mr. Joey Huffman.
Hey.
Yes.
How you doing?
Looking very Tom Petty there. I like the hat.
He's looking Joey Huffman there.
He's looking Joey Huffman there.
I like the hat. I bought the hat and I haven't been able to give it up. I wear it. I wear it all.
Where did you get the hat?
Got that hat online. I can't.
Are you serious?
Yeah, an ad came up on Facebook and I said, I want that hat. And I got that.
It's very Mad Hatter, very Alice in Wonderland, and yes, a little Tom Petty. It looks awesome. It's fantastic.
You ordered on Facebook. Wow, you were taking your chances there.
Well, I get wild sometimes.
That might be the most wild thing you've ever done, Joey. And you've done some wild things. You got some stories.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to order with my credit card.
Hey, this is Joey Huffman. How many instruments do you play? I got to ask you right out of the gate. You play a lot.
Guitar, bass, keyboards, mandolin,
Wow.
tin whistle that I bought in Ireland that I learned how to play. I played okay, but that's about it.
Okay, I thought I'd read somewhere you played flute as well.
No, that
No.
was Rick you're thinking about.
Rick plays flute.
Yeah.
I was mentioned at the beginning of the show, Hijinks. This was the band that I knew you with. This was your early days, 82 to 84. And Rick Seymour, who's also in Atlanta. Oh, you say all the guys are in Atlanta?
Yeah, all the guys are in Atlanta now.
Mike and Bubba and Rick.
Yeah.
I tried to book Rick on the show, and we had a double booking, and I never got him. I never got him to agree to come back on the show. So I'm hoping to get him back on the show. Hopefully he'll see this and he'll realize I'm sorry. I'm sorry I double booked.
Hey Rick.
Hey Rick. Hey to Rick. So yeah, Hijinks was there we go. There's Rick and you. In the early days, Hijinks, you went off to Atlanta to make your way on your own, and wow, your career just skyrocketed.
Yeah. I came up here to play with a guy named Ian, who was in a band called 5 Miles High. And I ended up getting another gig. I can't remember if it was Isaac Hayes or whatever, but I turned him on. He played with the Outlaws. Then he played with Leonard Skinner. And I hadn't seen him for a long time. And I thought he was mad at me. And he comes up and hugs me. He says, "Man, I got to thank you for getting me that Outlaws gig because it just exploded into everything." And I was just doing a favor for a friend. I didn't know that was going to, turn out for him the way it did, but I'm happy it did.
Atlanta is a hub for entertainment. It's kind of like New York for rock and roll. I mean, New York's cool. I mean, it's good too, like for theater and stuff like that. But and you've been to New York a few times doing gigs, but
absolutely, yeah.
But Atlanta is a hub for entertainment and for music.
And Athens, Georgia, too. Athens, Georgia, which is about 90-minute drive.
Absolutely. I played there a lot, too, with Michelle Malone and Drag the River. And
yeah. Michelle Malone worked with Bill Berry of REM, correct?
Yeah, she worked with him. She's worked with everybody. She's doing great for herself.
And CeeLo Green, of course, Atlanta. So that's another hub there, another connection there. How did you meet CeeLo? I'm a huge CeeLo fan, so I just got to know how you got acquainted with him.
My friend Britt from Blackberry Smoke had a studio, and he usually recorded there. But he called me. I had a studio with Geoffrey of Jackal, and they said CeeLo's going to come up and check out the studio. Well, it was at 10 at night, and we said okay, So he comes and. When he comes, he just starts loading in. He's ready to record. And he wanted a piano solo on something. And I said, well, I guess I can do that. And so we just started recording. And I recorded the piano on Follow Me on his record. Ended up co-producing and playing on that record. And we did it all at that studio.
Wow.
One of the songs nominated for a Grammy, Getting Grown, nominated for a Grammy. And we worked for about a year on that record and probably had about 75 songs recorded.
So CeeLo is noted for being very persnickety, and he's a perfectionist. He turned down Pharrell Williams' Happy. Pharrell Williams wrote Happy for CeeLo Green. CeeLo did the demo of it and said, I don't want it. And Pharrell ends up getting this big hit with it. So my point is that CeeLo's very persnickety. There's something in you where he was able to work with you. To me, that's a huge honor.
We got along great, and he had a very good work ethic. If he had to write lyrics, I would just loop the part, and he would sit there and he'd write lyrics and finish it, and we'd finish stuff. Like I said, we overdid stuff. We did like 5 songs that are all backed up to DDS3 DAT tapes now.
Wow.
But he was great to work with. I had no problem with him at all. He was, I was that right there with him. Sometimes it was just me and him in the studios.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a very intimate relationship when you're recording with somebody. You get to know somebody on a deeper level than most social interactions. How would you describe CeeLo as that? You said great work ethic.
Hey,
Do
great
you
work.
have any stories about him that?
He's just a talented singer. He sang. We had probably 15 tracks of vocals on every song. Him singing from high to low, all the different parts, and rapping. And there were always like 16 vocal tracks. He's a very, very good singer. He's very
Oh,
good and
Amazing.
good vocalist, and he can rap. Off the top of his
mhm.
head, write it out, and he's just a really talented guy. And I never worked on an R&B record before, and first one, and had a great experience. It was awesome.
Now, in your book, in the beginning of your book, you go back to you were actually working not just as a keyboardist for bands, but you were actually working as a backline tech.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was the only time I did that was with Keith Richards, but
right,
I did it twice with him. For
and
I
that's
one of the Neville brothers.
yeah, and that's where Lou Reed, Iggy Pop, Keith Richards.
Yeah,
Um, but it was interesting how you describe everything in your book. I mean, you definitely give everybody a picture of what it really is like to be on the road, not just as a performer, but as a tech
yeah,
as well. And the stories about the unions and how you can't touch things and stuff, and how you have to sleep on the bus and
yeah. I paint a pretty accurate picture of being on the road. That's what the guy that wrote the foreword in my book, Izzy, he said that he thought that, he read my book before he wrote the foreword, and said he thought it was really authentic of being,
yeah,
being on the bus, and like sometimes things repeat over and over. It's just like you're in Groundhog Day. You're doing the same thing over and over all the time. You get something
yeah,
slipped under your door that tells you what you do that day and what time. It's really kind of a not wild and crazy, but really kind of regimented. Like you're
yeah.
doing the same thing every day, from the hotel to sound check to catering to performing to the bus to the hotel to the sound check to it's very, very strict, I guess, is, is the word I'm looking for.
But along the way, you're fighting with Shriners.
Oh yeah,
It's
well,
just
yeah,
stories come out of left field. Things, wacky, crazy things come out of left field.
yeah, I had a thing with the Shriner at Kroger one time, but you know, things are tense between me and the Shriners. We have a very tense uh, 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 what do you call it when you've got a treaty. We have a tense treaty. I mean,
Again, you just had the trouble with the one.
oh yeah,
That
yeah,
could
no,
happen to anybody.
yeah,
Um, you mentioned you were one of the chapters was the snake pit story.
yeah.
And you mentioned Fresca, which I hadn't heard about in a long time. I remember Fresca when I was a kid. Grapefruit flavored soda,
Oh yeah, it was great,
refreshing.
refresh.
You went to the White House with
Yes,
Soul Asylum,
Soul Asylum.
met Bill Clinton.
Met Bill Clinton in the Oval Office. Um, there I am shaking his hand, and Dave Perner's got a smirk on his face because right as I'm shaking his hand, he says he voted for Bush.
That's right.
So I'm shaking his hand right then at that moment, and he just laughed and shook it off. And he was a great guy. Uh, when you talked to him, you talked like you were the only person in the world. You felt like he's really, really dynamic and really, really
You
good.
guys pretend to be the band. I'll pretend to be the president.
Exactly. We got to play sax with us.
And you got to see Al Gore's office,
Yeah,
thanks to George Stephanopoulos, your
yeah.
guide.
He was my guide, and he took us to the other side to see uh, Al Gore's office. And encouraged us to rifle it. Encouraged it.
Because he was out of
And
town.
yeah, he's on a town doing vice presidential things, and so he encouraged us to take pens and pieces of paper, letterhead, and all kinds of stuff. He was just laughing about it, and
He
so was
was telling people about the lockbox.
no, so was Bill Clinton when Stephanopoulos told him about it. It was all fun. It was all fun.
Yeah, a lot of interesting tidbits in your book. The Dragon Lady in
Oh,
that chapter.
yeah, that's true. They called Hillary Clinton the Dragon Lady, and then why? Dragon Lady warning.
Here comes the Dragon Lady.
We had to hide under the stairs. That was
You like dirty vodka martinis?
yes, I do. That's what I'm drinking now.
Oh,
Uh,
too funny.
uh, um, you just get more to drink because it's already a double, and you know I just like vodka.
See, vodka kicks my ass. If you want state secrets, yeah, just put vodka. Ply me with vodka. But the production company that created the movie that I wrote, Deadly Species, was
Yeah,
called Dirty Martini Productions. They like dirty martinis.
also,
I couldn't drink them.
I love them. I think at a bar, you know, we're not supposed to drink liquor before the Hank show. But if we were staying at a hotel that had a bar in it, I'd sneak down to the bar and drink about 2 or 3 dirty martinis before the show, and you know, go on and act like nothing's happening in the van. You know, I'm fine.
When I started doing comedy, I used to do the same thing to
Yeah,
relax before the show,
it kind of, you know, gets the spiders off.
but it catches up to you.
Yeah, but it will if you do it too much.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Um,
only drink when I play. Really, I don't do it in the studio, and I don't do it other situations.
yeah.
Just usually to, you know, get loose, and not that much.
Clive Davis, Arista Records.
Oh yeah.
You want to share that story? You want to move past it?
Well, no, it's he signed the first band had a record deal with called Witness uh, back in 1986, and he said, "Well, I'm going to sign." We were playing, and he said to our manager, "Well, I'm going to sign him. I'm going back to the hotel. You guys meet me there." So he was staying at the Ritz Carlton off Peachtree, and we show up, and that's the first time I've been in a hotel that nice. And we go up to his suite, and we're all sitting on a couch, and he's in the middle, and there's a dinner plate there, or there's a what I thought was a hors d'oeuvres plate, and he's telling us what he's going to do for us and how he's going to make us stars and stuff. And I reach over and grab a piece of broccoli off of it and dip it in something and eat it. And he stopped talking and looked at me like I was, you know, for a second, just, you know, then he started talking again. And I did it again about 5 minutes later, and he stopped. And then it went on. He, you know, we got signed, we got a record deal. We were all happy, and we leaving, and the door shuts, and our manager, Charlie Brusco, goes, almost smacked me on the head. And he said, "Joey, what are you doing?" And I said, I don't know what was I doing. And he said, "You were eating food off Clive Davis's dinner plate, you idiot." I said, I just thought it was a deli tray. I'm sorry." And then we all just kind of laughed. It was like, what are you going to do? You
And
know?
they never let you live that down.
No, because every time something bad would happen, it'd say, "That's bad," but not as bad as the time Joey ate off of Clive Davis's dinner plate. So,
It's like Bruce Dickinson needs more cowbell.
yeah. I've got a cure, and the only thing that'll cure it is more cowbell.
He really regrets doing that sketch now.
I know.
Everybody on the street, hey, cowbell.
We regret. So,
Isaac Hayes.
yeah, I know that was a strange one. It was in 1989, I think.
He was actually kind of strict with you.
He wasn't strict. Uh, he just. I don't want to tell all the stories about the book, but he was just confused. He didn't know my last name. And our first gig in the theater in London, we're playing, and there's another keyboard player too, and he played piano. So I was just doing like mostly like what Rhodes and other keyboard parts. He gets to the point where introduces his aggregation, which is
Mm-hmm.
he starts with on the left stage left, and I'm on stage right, and he works all his way around to the guitar player, the drummer, the I don't know horn player, whoever. It gets to me and the other guy, and he says, "These are the keyboard players. These where those horn parts and flute parts and everything comes from. And on the keyboards, first I want to introduce Joey, Joey, Joey." He turns around and says, "Joey, what's your last name?" And I said, "Oh,
I had totally
make it up."
forgotten Huffman when we knew you with hijinks in Lake City. I just knew you as Joey, the keyboard player,
Yeah.
and Mike, the drummer.
Well, that happens to me all the time. It's like somebody will ask me, "Do you know Frank?" And I go, "No, I don't think it." The one that produced Miranda Lambert. "Oh, Frank! Yeah, I know Frank. I've known Frank for a long time."
The Hellhounds.
Oh, one of the most fun band I've ever been in.
Hmm.
That was basically the Satellites. It was Rick and Rick.
Yeah, you, Randy, Rick, and Rick.
Yeah, yeah, and we we had a lot of fun. That was about 1990, 92.
Mm-hmm.
We played the Cavern every Sunday night, and that was fun. I, I I just called up Rick Richards one Sunday and said, "Can I bring my piano down and play with you guys?" And he said, "Sure, mate. Come on down." And I did, and I sat through the whole show with them and played the whole show, and I kept doing it every Sunday. And then all of a sudden I was a member of the band, and we played. I was making good money. We were making good money playing frat parties and stuff on
Yeah.
the weekends, and this is before the Satellites got back together again. So we it was, and it seriously a piano solo in almost every song. I was probably my top form as a piano player playing with them, because I had to just do a Ian McLagan, Nicky Hopkins kind of solo every song.
In one chapter in the 90s, your grocery list consists of Slim Fast and Powerade.
Yeah.
Did you ever mix them?
Not on purpose. Sometimes when you get older, you have to watch what you eat.
Yeah.
And keep those electrolytes up. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's still
kind of balances out. You got to keep the electrolytes out, otherwise you're just farting pink dust.
Yep. So. like white bread is there.
Now, your wife Kim actually sat down on a couch with Keith Richards and didn't realize it.
Yeah. She asked me later. She says, "Where's Keith?" And I said, "On the couch smoking a joint with him." "Oh, I didn't know that was him." But yeah, that was kind of funny.
How do you not recognize Keith Richards?
Yeah, with that voice, and it's about everything all the time.
You mentioned VCR in '96 is actually visual for cocaine residue.
Yeah,
which made me laugh.
VCR, visual for cocaine residue.
The other VCRs were gone by then.
Yeah, CRV, calm, reassuring voice.
That was the look in the mirror.
Yeah. But that's when no mirror was available. You had to ask somebody.
Wow.
I mean, any VCS or visual cocaine residue, VCR.
That was the party lifestyle, though. I mean,
yeah. Unfortunately, I had a epiphany in 2004.
Yeah.
Quit doing drugs, but man, was it fun, and man, was it a lot. when it was happening. I don't know. I talk about it in the book.
When
I
I
self-bear. I name names and I don't hold back.
mm,
But uh, it was fun. It was a party.
yeah, I know that I was offered many times cocaine, and I turned it down every time because I knew I would like it too much, and it was expensive,
Yeah.
and so I just never did it.
Well,
And,
good
and
for you, man. Good on you, because you know it's just too much fun. And then, but then in Soul Asylum, we used to say, "Can do you want me to ruin your day? That do you want to get high on coke,
Jeez.
or can I ruin your day? Hey, can I ruin your day? You know,
that was the code.
euphemism, yeah,
Mhm.
doing blow.
Yeah, that's why I never tried any drugs because I have such an addictive personality. Like chocolate for me is crazy. I can't even give up chocolate. So I always knew I couldn't try something because that would be my life. I mean, I would just be on coke all day, every day, lose thousands and thousands of dollars. Because once I start something, I would just keep going. So it's just like you, Rory. It, thank God, or else you wouldn't have seen me. I wouldn't have been able to regulate that. I'm always impressed by people who are able to be around addictive substances and they just kind of regulate it somehow. I have no idea how that
Just a
happens.
little bit. That wasn't me. I was like, give me something, I'll do it all the time. But I wasn't addicted. I had bipolar. Uh, uh, I got diagnosed with bipolar, and I was self medicating. It doesn't mean I wasn't abusing it,
Hmm.
but I was self medicating. So when it was time to stop, I just stopped. I just set it down. It wasn't a big
Really?
deal.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. A lot of people can't do that.
That's amazing.
That
The
is
only
really
the only
amazing.
thing I had to wean myself off of was oxycodone, and that
Hmm.
was when I had a brain tumor, and I was on them for 4 months before the brain tumor, and so I was physically addicted to them. So I had to wean myself off. But other than that, I was able to just set it down, sleep for a few days, and be fine.
Wow.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Uh,
Yes.
How did bipolar affect you, if you want to talk about it, and then the brain tumor, if you want to get into that a little bit?
well, bipolar, I have a atypical kind that I'm more manic than depressed.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Uh, So it's not so bad for me, except when I do get depressed, it's really bad. I'll sleep for a week or something.
Oh
But
wow.
but mostly I'm manic, and I'm
Mhm.
ADHD also. So I take medicine for that, which kind of intensifies my manic feeling. And so I'm pretty much up and doing things all the time.
Right.
That's I mean, it affects me actually in kind of a good way.
Hmm. That's
Uh,
interesting. Yeah. So you're not getting too much of the bi part. You're getting more of just the one part, the productive.
Panic part, yeah, you get productive. You also get a little self uh, absorbed, but you know, when you start doing the same thing over and over and don't get anything done, sometimes you feel a little guilty. But
Hmm.
it's you have to it has to even out. But
Right.
yeah,
Okay. Can we
for the
go through? Yeah. Keep going. Sorry.
for the most part, it affected me pretty well. I've been taking the medicine and it works, and
Hmm.
as long as I take my medicine, it works and things fine.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really inspiring. I was going to say maybe I can go through a couple of the photos that we didn't get to yet.
Okay,
Okay, so here you are signing your memoir.
yeah, that's dressed the same way I'm dressed today.
I know it could have been taken today. And then
Leopard
there's the
skin.
jacket. There's the jacket that Benji stole from you.
Yeah,
One of them. He's probably got more than one leopard skin, I think.
That's right.
yeah,
That's a great photo. What
yeah.
year might that have been?
That'd be like 2003, 2004. I,
Hmm.
I, that's when I had that guitar, and I know where it was taken and who took it.
He
Okay.
He remembers generations by the guitars he had.
I believe that. I believe that.
There he is.
There I am in all my glory.
And then this, of course, is you at the White House again, right?
No, that's with
No.
Kevin Kinney of Soul.
Oh, that's Kevin Kinney. Okay, that's right.
Kevin Kinney of Driving and Crying.
Yeah, Kevin's
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing.
So
Athens, Georgia is really into him too. Yeah.
Yeah, Athens is great.
I lived in Athens for about a decade. So,
Awesome. I played there and
Mhm.
the Georgia Theater and a few other venues.
Yeah, all the legends, all the greats, you know, and it's such a tiny town, but it's nutrient dense, you
It,
know.
it is. I mean, great musicians come from there.
Well, you're actually
Absolutely.
in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Driving and Crying, aren't you?
Yes, he
The
is.
Georgia music.
Georgia music. In Macon, Georgia. I love that. I've been there. They have Otis Redding stuff and James Brown stuff. Some of the best musicians of all time come from Georgia.
Yeah.
Incredible. That's a huge honor. Huge honor. B-52s, REM. Come on.
Yeah, Bill Berry. I mean, not Bill Berry. The guitar player.
Peter Buck. Peter Buck
was the one who inducted us into the Hall.
Oh, really? That's great. Wow, that's awesome. Love
Sorry,
that.
Peter, I couldn't remember your name.
He just played the Nuggets tribute with our friend Billy Vera about a week ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Peter Buck backed up Billy Vera. Very, very cool.
Heard that name.
Yeah, Billy Vera. He's a friend of the network. He's just incredible. He's just, and he's still he just turned 79, and he still tours and plays
great.
all the time. You know, his best friend is Priscilla Presley, so they do double birthdays every year together. That's his bestie. So great. Just love that guy.
He's a sweet guy.
I remember that song from the 80s.
Yeah, at this moment,
What was
yep.
that?
Well, that was the re-release of it that actually when it became really famous. Yeah, when it was originally released, it just did okay. It was modest, but when they had it on what was the Michael J. Fox show?
Family Ties. It was the Family Ties, and just took another level.
Skyrocketed. It just took off. Yeah, and he got a resurgence. Yeah.
I did not know that, but that's interesting.
I did not know that.
Little Johnny Carson.
That's wild.
Wild. Oh.
Matchbox 20.
I did that. It was fun. I had a great time with them. We toured. I did that first tour of the first record. They actually did that record at my studio. So I was playing with Soul Asylum at the time. They came in the office and I said, I'm tired of playing with Soul Asylum. I was just bitching and griping about something, and that stuck with them because when they could afford a keyboard player, they hired me. And
wow,
I was there with the meteoric rise that they had, so it was a lot of fun. I did that with Soul Asylum too. I was with them from when they were just starting to where they had their rise to fame.
Right.
And that's a good time to be with the band. It's awesome,
Now, when you're with people for a long stretch of time, playing with them and stuff, I don't know if you feel like you get in a rut. I don't know if maybe people, start to butt heads and argue more.
It's hard.
You've been very lucky to bounce from one good group to another.
I know luck was a lot involved. A lot of luck was involved in my career, being in the right place at the right time. When I was asked, "Can you do this?" I'd say yes, even though I didn't know if I could do it or not. It just kept on going, until
you BS'd your way in.
Pardon?
You BS'd your way in.
Oh yeah, I BS'd my way in. Yeah. I got past the security guard and I mean, Soul Asylum was opening for Keith Richards, and I started sitting in with them.
Yeah.
While they were opening for Keith Richards, because they were looking for an organ player, and the only other band that opened for Keith that tour was Izzy Stradlin and the Juju Hounds, and I
Mhm.
touring with them too.
Yeah.
So both bands that opened for Keith, I ended up touring with. I'm going to play on Izzy's new record next week. I'm still doing
Aw-
work with Izzy
Awesome.
Stradlin. So yeah, he
You heard
wants
it here
more.
first, folks.
Yeah, Izzy Stradlin's new record.
How was it to be on SNL? You were on the Miranda Richards episode
Yes, it
back when they had Phil Hartman, and it was a great cast back then.
yeah, they had Mike Myers.
Yeah.
Don't know if
Yeah, baby.
yeah, it was it flew by. It was, we rehearsed like one day and then did a run through the next day and then took Friday off and then came back and did Saturday Night Live, did rehearsals, cutting out sketches that weren't working.
Mhm.
The band would have to be there, mostly hanging around, but just the actual filming and actual playing on there, it just seemed like it flew by.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I'm in a
Cathartic.
car back to the hotel,
Yeah.
or to the after show party, which was fun. But I got out of there. I went somewhere. I didn't tell this part in the book, but it's kind of uh, incriminating myself. But I get a phone call.
Exclusive.
I get a phone call from Keith Richards' road manager, and said, "I'm here at Bobby Keys, the sax player that played sax on Brown Sugar and played with the Stones for years." Says, "I'm sitting here with Bobby Keys and we need your nose." And I said, "What?" I said, "We need your nose here. Here's the address." And I went there and a big pile of cocaine on the
Oh, jeez.
and Bobby was leaving the country and the next day and he couldn't take it with him.
Oh,
So
jeez.
me and Tony and him sat there all night and did that blow.
Just
And
the three of you.
yeah, just the three of us. And Bobby was telling stories.
Oh, man.
Telling stories. He told the story about that's in Keith's book about him and Keith getting busted coming back in the country, and they were in a holding cell. And Bobby says, "Well, let's call Mr. Dole, Dole Pineapple." That rehearsed his house like at the beginning of the tour. Anyway, they call him and he says, "Sit tight, boys." And like 5 minutes later, the phone rang and that security guard like just sat straight up and said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir." And he got and he went and unlocked the key. It was the governor that called.
Yes.
Said, "Let these boys free, give them the drugs back, and hold the flight for them." And I
Oh,
mean,
man.
I know from being like busted to like going back and the plane holding for you and you getting your dope back to, is pretty funny. He told stories
Give
like
them
that
their note back.
until
Oh,
it had to go. I think we left some still sitting on the table. Uh, couldn't do it all, but it was a lot of fun.
jeez. Oh, man. Ah, but that kind of partying did take its toll on you eventually.
Um, it did, and that's why I had an epiphany in 2004.
Yeah.
Uh, Taking a toll. It took a toll on my marriage. It
Yeah.
took a toll on me being a good father. It took a toll on. It never took a toll on my playing. I'd always did records. I've been on like 175 records or more,
Yeah.
and even I mean, there's it's historic. I can't say I thought I played that good or I thought I played better on that, but yeah, I mean, when I'd stay up for 2 or 3 days, I played totally different, and I'm on record having been up like 3 days on a lot of records that it never got in the way of my career,
It
but
sounded great.
but I realized that it was going to.
Yeah.
I was at a precipice
Yeah.
where if I didn't change, I was going to go down. So I did, and luckily things still work for me. I was doing great. I quit Hank in 2019, right before COVID. I was doing it to record more
Uh-huh.
and to write more, and COVID hit. So for like 3 years, our studio was closed and everything. The studio moved to a new location um, near Dallas, or uh, um, it's out near Smyrna, but we have a new studio, Soapbox Studios, and going to do work there. And that's where I'm going to do. Izzy's going to come, and that's where we're going to do some of his stuff.
Mhm.
And uh, and I've been playing recently with a band just plays weekend, and at least my week's open for me, so I can work. And things are finally getting to where it's
Back
back
to normal.
like it was before. Yeah.
Yeah, you are an audio guy. I mean, you set up audio, like you said, for Aaron Neville's son,
Yeah.
uh, for his keyboard setup. I mean,
Well,
you
I
know
rented it.
audio.
Yeah, I rented my gear. So basically, he was playing my stuff. So I really knew how to
Mhm.
program it and get the sounds and stuff. So not only
So it
did I
makes
get paid, but they rented my gear every week. So
so it makes sense that you would have a primo studio, that big people want to come to and
yeah,
record it
it's a
because you
nice.
know your audio.
Yeah, I mean, I've been engineering and producing for a good 30 years now. I've had
I'm sorry, Renee popped in. She probably had a question for you.
No, no, I'm here. I want to hear what he's talking. I want him to keep going down this train. I want to go down because he's so multifaceted. There's so many stories we want to get to. So,
well, I'll talk all day if you let me.
well, I want to know. I want to know what makes somebody good in the studio, what makes somebody good live on stage. Clearly, you can do both. You're a very eclectic performer. You're an
Yeah.
eclectic musician generally. There are some people who really just do studio recording and that's their thing. And then there's people that sound better live. I mean, can you weigh in on that a little bit and what makes somebody a great live? I mean, Dave Perner, clearly an amazing live performer. I saw you guys Ithaca, New York or something back in the 90s when I was a teenager.
95 at out in Long Island, what is it called? Long Island, that venue out there,
I
right on the
can't, yeah, it was outdoors. It was an outdoor
yeah
sort of, we were like on a thing.
Jones,
Yeah.
Jones Beach.
Yeah, it was yeah. It's me and my friends were in a rock band and we went and we saw. I mean, it's just incredible the energy, and of course Dave Perner with the hair and all of that. That's a fantastic
Yeah,
performer.
those guys were good in the studio as well
Yes. Hmm.
as playing. So they played their own records, but solo artists, they get session players, and
Hmm.
session players are usually a little bit more. They have to make up a part, and like in Nashville, they have just charts with numbers, the number system, and but you have to be little bit better player to play in the studio than you do play live. Live is completely different. Studio, you're under the microscope, and you have to play with feel. It's hard to play with feel in the studio, but the
Yeah.
snare is behind the beat. I play behind the beat, uh,
Mhm.
a little bit, and that gives it feel. Uh,
Right.
Playing live, you can mask it more. You know,
Hmm.
but I love playing live too. It's a different thing, but I love it as just as much. Why I'm tempering being in the studio and producing and doing sessions with playing live, because I need both of them to keep my sanity.
Yeah,
Right.
when you're playing live, you're feeding off the crowd's energy, and it's just a whole
Hmm.
different experience.
Sure.
So yeah,
Absolutely. Can you weigh in a little bit about fame and sort of, you've been around so many people who have been so outrageously famous. What do you think effect that has on a person, good and bad, that you've
It,
noticed?
I have noticed, you know, I haven't been, I've been around real rock stars. I mean, I've done a lot, but And I've seen people really handle it really well, and I've seen people that had problems with it, that it got too much for them to deal with. And I don't want to point out which was which, but it's definitely a burden to be famous. It's hard to be. There's a lot, that you don't think about when you think, God, I want to be famous. I want to be a rock star.
Yeah.
There, there's responsibility to your fan base, your fan,
Mhm.
and your record company. And I just wrote this triple platinum record. Now I've got to write another record. How am I going to do it? How am I going to live up to that?
The pressure, it's
A lot
intense
of
pressure
pressure.
from all
Yeah.
sides and a lot of responsibility. People think of a
A lot of
rock star
stress.
as being someone, people think of a rock star as being someone who's almost lazy. You think of, Russell Brand's depiction of that in Get Him to the Greek or whatever. You think of someone who's totally bombed out, but it's actually, you have to be very diligent, very connected, very focused, and it's a lot of hard work. And like you said, you're in a committed relationship with your record company, with your bandmates, with your fan base, with lawyers. You are actually you're almost controlled. It's like a golden palace or a gilded palace.
Yeah, there are days there that are like Get Him to the Greek. There's those, but then there's days you have to put on your big boy hat or your
Mm-hmm.
big boy hats and go out and you know write a song or record or do publicity, do record signings, do you know you can't get tired of your fans. And Rob Thomas was excellent. I went to the mall with him one time, him and his fiance, then his wife now, and they got mobbed by fans, and he sat there and he signed every autograph and he answered every question and then went on shopping. And he's one person that I saw handle this so well.
Yeah.
He knew where bread was buttered, and he was, such a good. It affected him in a positive way. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Have you been able to kind of keep your anonymity a little bit because you're a keyboard player,
Yeah,
and not a lead rock singer? I
I've
mean,
been
when Mick
able to.
Jagger goes out or Keith Richards goes out, yeah, they're going to get mobbed. Period.
Right. No. Yeah, I've been able to keep my anonymity. Um, aluminum.
Aluminium. I've been
Aluminium.
able to keep my aluminium about me.
Uh, yeah, I've been able to, all I didn't want to be famous really. I'm probably more famous than I wanted to be, but I just want the respect of my peers,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and you know, I just
you
wanted to
definitely have that.
be have enough money and be respected by my peers. But then the fame part, that's cool too. I can handle it. I get embarrassed when I have to sign autographs and stuff, but uh,
Mm-hmm.
I I'm not used to it. But I'm gonna have to get used to it by signing this book. Um, I've been doing book signings, and it's it's hard to write something different, for everybody. And then my publisher told me, you know, uh, authors just sign their name. So I've been
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
right.
you don't have to say all that. Best wishes. You're my
Yeah,
best buddy.
yeah.
You don't have
Unless,
to
Dream big. Yeah.
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
Follow
So
your
Reach for the
dreams.
stars, but keep your feet on the ground.
Talk a little bit about cohesion and the family dynamic that a touring rock band acquires over time. The fighting, the sibling rivalry type feel. Um, how real is that stuff? The Spinal Tap type depiction of the infighting, the backbiting, and the deep love that a touring rock band acquires over time.
well, I can remember touring with Michelle Malone and Drag the River, and us having Spinal Tap on the bus, and we'd watch laugh. And
Yep.
as the tour went on, we'd watch it, and then by the end of the tour, we were in LA for 2 months, and then got back on a tour bus to limp home. Uh, we play it and you go, that's just too close to the bone.
It's too close to home. It's like you laugh and you cry, right? Yeah.
It was like we couldn't watch it anymore because that was that tour. That was that whole band's thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We got home and we played a few shows and did some demos for Arista, and then it was over. I mean,
Was there a puppet show?
and everybody was doing something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a closeness with
Mm-hmm.
the band. You love them like family, and hell, the one that's not there is getting talked about. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's just that way, and you know, you connect on stage, you connect playing with each other, and you know, you have good nights. Sometimes you have bad nights, and it makes you feel bad. But yeah, it's a lot like being in a family. And
You
Yeah.
stay in touch with most of the people you've played with, though.
yeah, I do. I stay in touch with most all of them.
Yeah.
Text, usually text.
Yeah.
But you know, like Dave out of the blue wished me happy Father's Day, and I didn't know that he was, you know, he's thinking about me for a second, you know, and I got a text that kind of made me feel. It made me feel good, you know. I said, well,
Yeah, of course. How do you tap into confidence when you're around and you are such a high powered individual in such a high pressure industry? You have to always believe in yourself, be confident, because you can't possibly get on stage in front of thousands of people. You can't possibly walk into a recording studio with CeeLo Green unless you have some stores of confidence within your soul. How do you get there?
you just have to fake it if you don't. I mean,
Yep, fake it till you make it. Yeah.
yeah, I,
I believe in that. That's a true thing.
I'll tell you to swear to God, like with Hank, I'd be standing backstage 5 minutes before the show. I already had my drink, and something from my reptilian brain was saying, run like
Yeah.
hell, get the hell out of here. And,
Sure.
but I'd step up on that riser and hit the first note, and everything was fine. It
Yeah.
was like, you know, it's like, and dealing with the pressure of this business is hard, you know. You got to be able to tell when people have agendas and you know, not let them get to you. All you got is talent and your contacts, really, and people will try to get your contacts and try to get everything they can from you, and then just throw you to the side, throw you under the bus. It's a
Yeah.
it's a vicious business.
Yeah.
I can't. I was telling somebody this the other day that the business part of it is really hard, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to shake off and then just and be you know inspired to do the art part of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of money. It's the business of show. It's not just show, it's show
Yeah.
business. The people that you've heard of are people who were able to harness talent and entrepreneurship both, and
Yes.
also surround themselves with the right people, which, as you know, who you surround yourself and who you trust with your money, with your talent, with your deals is everything. And when you get to a certain degree of fame, you're going to have personal people and business contacts taking advantage of you who are not out for your best interest. They are just out to make their own money or be a rock star adjacent for their own reasons.
If you let them do it, yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's there. You know, I can tell when people have an agenda. I had a weird. I came up with a strange childhood that it gave me this, like if that was my superpower. If, I can tell when people
You
have
have
an
a
agenda
sixth sense.
almost immediately, and
Mm-hmm.
not have anything to do with them,
Right.
and or I won't involve myself with an artist if I find out or know, and I can usually tell whether they're doing like crystal meth or something,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm.
you know they're talented as hell, but I can expose myself to that. Uh, uh, it endangers my sobriety.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then the other thing, which is also like the Spinal Tap sort of thing, or the Yoko Ono sort of dynamic, uh, romantic relationships that are maybe toxic or abusive, they can really eat up a lot of people who are maybe either mentally ill or highly creative or highly sensitive. I know a lot of, I'm speaking anecdotally because I've known so many highly talented, sensitive men and women in the arts, and they just met the wrong person. And before you know it, they were isolated or addicted and, or, you know, not allowed to go on the road anymore, not allowed to have those friends anymore. Most people in the arts have those horrible stories where you see somebody slipping into that.
I do. I've had some toxic relationships, and you know, I knew better, but got into them anyway. And one of them was the one where I had the epiphany. You know, that 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 relationship was the one. It was a very toxic relationship around 2000, right after I did CeeLo, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I still kept recording. I didn't, and I was going on the road with the satellites, but it was just such toxic relationship that you
Were
know,
you being restricted? Were your movements being restricted?
well, by drug use.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
By drug use, like they weren't getting jealous that I was playing. Actually, they wanted me to go play, but it wasn't restrictive, but it was toxic and bad, and you know, drug buddies and uh,
Yep.
it's just sex and drugs. You know, I could do without the rock and roll. It,
Yeah,
it,
right.
I mean, it gets to that point, so I had to leave.
Yeah. Who we spend our time with dictates so much of our emotional health, our physical health, our creative health. And I think some people don't understand that, but I, like you, have learned in my life who I spend my time around is going to dictate what's possible for my life and my future.
Absolutely.
And my emotional health. So we have to really guard our social circle. And in many cases, it's better to be alone for a while than to be
Yeah,
around the wrong crew, you know?
yeah.
be alone for a little while to find myself, to make it to where maybe I am ready to have a relationship again. You know,
Yeah.
I, I was never alone for until I was like way into my 40s. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, the first time I was always playing in a band. I was always around somebody. Always, you know, but you know, after my divorce and you know, I had my own place. It was hard, but you know, it was needed to be. I needed to have time on my own to get to know myself for real,
Right.
you know, real me, and you know, to grow some, and you know, to be like now. I don't get angry anymore. I've put to bed all my anger by forgiving people and letting not,
Well,
not letting some of them know, because anger is about you. You carry that. It's your job to set it down and forgive. And so I don't get angry anymore. I'm happy. Uh, I'm not in a relationship right now, but I'm happy. I'm getting to play. I'm getting to work. That makes me happy, and I'm at a good time in my life.
is
So
there anybody or any group that you didn't mention on the show here that you'd like to give a shout out to or mention? Maybe a story that you would like to relay or?
no, not really. I mean, uh, playing with Leonard Skinner was pretty fun. Filling in for Billy Powell when he broke his hip. That was fun to get to play Freebird with the real band.
Wow. That's what I wanted to say to you. I mean, meeting Bill Clinton, you're talking about all these incredible, iconic people, including yourself. You are a Georgia Music Hall of Famer yourself. So in your own right, you are an icon too. Do you get that weird feeling where you sense being a part of history? Do you appreciate it in that moment? Do you look around when you're playing Freebird with Leonard Skinner and you say, I I appreciate this is a part of history and I'm a part of history and I'm carrying impact.
I don't look at it so much that way. I People tell me how much or how historical it is. I don't realize it in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've never really been. I've gotten to where I have by because of my talents or whatever. And I never really. I don't promote myself a lot. Um, uh, so I never really until afterwards realized. maybe that was a big thing, you know, that was a, you know, I was always honored to fill in for Billy Powell, and I was always, you know, thrilled to be playing with, but I didn't realize, you know, to be able to say I played with Leonard Skinner is a really cool thing. But
Yeah.
Well, even in your book, you make the analogy that you're kind of like the Forrest Gump of rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, things happen to me that I really didn't
You
expect.
just you got into a lot of the right places at the right time, and
Yeah,
yeah,
you know, a month ago I was checking for Keith Richards. The next month I'm on Saturday Night Live, and then that summer
yeah.
I'm touring with Soul Asylum, and I'm doing a lot of records with the Meat Puppets and other '90s bands. You know, all of a sudden I'm playing with Driving and Crying and playing a lot with them while Soul Asylum was on break. I played with them for about a whole year,
Yeah.
And then off and on up till the present. You know,
That's a
Wow.
charmed life.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, one of the fans right here said, "Awesome career." Yeah, just it's
Yeah.
stunning. If you go to your Wikipedia, like I just did, you know, you go to your Wikipedia and you just say one thing after another, and it's just incredible. I can't even believe it.
I
And
haven't
again,
even
I want to put your
people.
book up here one more time because yes, it is a great read. I'm a writer too, so it's a great read. I'll tell you right now, he's a very interesting writer, and you wrote this yourself. You didn't have anybody else writing for you.
No, my publisher and another editor edited it, but did all the writing. Yeah,
Yeah, and
no
it's
ghostwriting.
entertaining. It's very entertaining. There's a lot of great stories in there.
I read a lot. I think I learned to write because I read a lot
That helps.
about from 18, because I heard one of the girls say back when I was young, I used to be a pretty boy. And, you know, he
Yes,
was
you were.
the boy. He was the pretty boy with no, you know, that didn't know anything. So that really, you know, the stupid pretty boy, that really got me reading. I read like I had a book all the time. I mean, until recently. Uh, and I read all the time. So I think that's what taught me to write, to be able to write. Because the same way I learned to play piano was by ear. I learned to write by rote, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm
There's a
lucky.
lot of
I'm lucky.
there's a lot of pretty well-read boys out there too. And you're one of
Not pretty so much anymore, but
them.
you
Oh,
know,
you've aged pretty well. Considering what you've done, you've aged pretty well.
I
It's
probably
amazing Keith Richards is still alive with everything he's done. But hey, you know.
do. His dad lived 95 or something, so
Oh man,
he's going to be around a while.
man, oh man. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing some of your experiences with us. I'm going to send your book back so you'll sign it to me.
Okay.
And you don't have to say, you know, reach for the stars or anything on that.
Friend, give you a message.
Renee, thank you for making this all work smoothly as usual.
Thank you.
What I tell you about using your phone? Good cameras, good microphones. Nary a problem.
Awesome.
So, all right. Again, I'm looking forward to reading the last 20% of your book that I haven't gotten to yet. I know there's a chapter on your surgery to get the tumor out. Oy.
Yeah, Joey.
And I'm so glad you came through that. Okay.
I am too.
Yeah.
Lucky, like I said, maybe there's something that I need to do that I haven't done yet. So maybe I have destiny. I don't know.
Could be it. Tom Cheshire, our good buddy, is going to be glad we went overtime. And again, thank you again for a wonderful interview. I hope you had as much fun as we did.
I had a great time. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Renee.
We'll have you on again. I know you got a lot more stories to tell.
Okay, buddy.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.